Right. So there's three broad areas. There's three broad types of, well, there's actually four, but there's three main ones. The fourth one, it's kind of wishy-washy. I'm not really too sure how to use it, but we'll have to figure that out. So there is, you can deal with files as bytes. You can deal with files as characters. Now, the third type is you can deal with file as what are called serialized files. Now, serialized files are basically zipping up your classes. All right. Now, do serializing correctly, you can end up with, let me just show you here. Oh, fuck, where are they? All right, so see these guys here? They're all serialized. Let me just have a look. Now, a bit more complicated than serialized files, but jar files are basically serialized files, right? They're at the very basic level, they're zipped. Resources.jar contains all of these classes. rt.jar contains all of these packages, which contains all of these classes. Okay, now they are all serialized, right? Eclipse can read them. That's the beauty of them. So let's see, I have another one here, jfr jar. Okay, contains all these packages, which contains all these classes. They are all serialized. All right, they are all serialized. So what serialization allows you to do, it allows you to save all of your classes as a zipped file, and then they can be read by any machine. All right, it zips them up, and then they can be read by any machine. So that means they're easily transportable. All right, if you zip up 1,000, if you serialize 1,000 classes, they can be transported anywhere. They can be sent over the web. They can be, now obviously your virus scanner might have something to say about that, but all of the libraries that you have are made from serialized files. So let's have a look at it.
So no, by any machine, you mean Java virtual machine, not any machine.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So the hardware has to have a Java virtual machine, but the principle is it can be read anywhere. Okay?
On any platform.
As long as they have a Java virtual machine.
As long as it's
installed,
Java,
Java installed.
Yeah.
With Java installed, yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Now, so whereas chars, streams are for dealing with bytes. Readers and writers are for dealing with characters. Now, serialization is all about dealing with your file as noughts and ones. Okay, and it's all about making them easily transportable. It's also about making them easily importable and exportable. All right. So now, which one is the most important? They all have their pluses and minuses, but serialization is, yeah, it's very important. All right. Now, so we are going to create a new, this is going to be 8.3c. Okay, so this is new. This is Java project. This is 8.3c, and this is working with streams. Finish. Okay. So new package. On Android. Now we are going to have, so I'm going to write out the classes one by one. We have examples and main. Okay. We have examples and main. First, start off with new class examples. New class main. Now, so we're going to have a couple of other classes. First class we're going to have is janitor. Okay, so the first class is going to be janitor. So Janitor. The next one we're going to have is pupil. Okay. The next class we're going to have is school. The next class we're going to have is subjects. The next class we're going to have is teacher. So what we have here is an application that is a school. Okay, now you could have another class called buildings. What other things would a school have? Could anyone tell? Sorry?
You have pupils, yeah.
Museum.
Furniture.
Yeah, so you could have the physical infrastructure of the school.
Facilities.
Sorry, facilities, yeah.
Facilities, whatever. No.
Yeah, you could have outdoor and indoor facilities. The indoor facilities could be stuff like arts and crafts, computer equipment. Outdoor facilities could be like playing fields, trees is a facility. So you could have, but I'm going to limit it to these few. All right.
Okay.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make all these files serializable, and then we're going to zip them up into something called a data file. All right. We're going to be making changes to these files. And as we're making changes to the file, we'll change, let's say, 5 or 6 of the files. And we're going to zip them up into what's called a data file. That's called serialization. And what we're going to do then is we're going to make further changes. And then we are going to revert back to the previous form by deserializing a file. All right. So we could have done a day's work and we said, oh, we don't want that anymore. We can go back to the previous version by just by deserializing an existing file. And this serialized file is going to contain examples, janitor, main, pupil, school, subjects, and teacher, all zipped up in a single file. All right. So rather than us pricking around the place with importing files and doing all sorts of shit, at the end of this lesson, what I'm going to be uploading each day is a DAT file, is a serialized DAT file that you will be able to import into your application. All right? Is everyone okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you won't be importing things anymore. You will be, you'll be importing a DAT file, and you'll be deserializing that DAT file, and that deserialized DAT file will produce all of these guys. All right? So you can see how it makes transporting stuff a lot easier, a lot handier. Are you all okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, now, so I'm going to go to examples here. So I'm going to give a definition of serialization. So serialization is the process of converting an object to a stored data format. So, okay. In other words, converting an object to a file. Okay. Now, a object that you want to serialize, okay, has its class has to implement the serializable interface. Now, so it's an interface called serializable. So all of these we are going to make serializable. Well, we're going to serialize it in such a way that if we serialize main, it's going to cause examples to be serialized, which we'll call janitor to be serialized, which we'll call pupil to be serialized, which we'll call school to be serialized, which we'll call subjects to be serialized, which will cause teacher to be serialized. So it's going to take a little bit of thinking, all right? Because one class, we're going to be creating a school class, and the school class is going to be made up of subjects, it's going to be made up of teachers, it's going to be made up of pupils, and it's going to be made up of janitors. All right. So the school class is going to be serializable itself, but all these other classes, which are going to be, it has a relationship between school and subjects, teachers, pupil, and janitor. Each one of those ones are going to have to be serializable as well. Okay.
Would there be object composition there, is it, or?
Yeah, that's it. It's object composition. Okay. So an object that you want, its class has to implement the serializable interface. So if we do not make the objects class serializable, this will throw a not serializable exception. Okay, now if we do not want the object to be serializable, we mark the object, not the class, as transient. Okay, I think we came across that before, but I didn't give an explanation for it. So we're going to be creating objects, all right, school objects, and we're going to mark some of the objects inside that class. Let's say one of the janitors. Okay, we have a janitor, Jimmy and Mick. Mick we're going to make serializable, but we don't want, so we Jack and Mick. Mick is going to be serializable, so he's going to be zipped up, but Jack isn't serializable. We don't want him to be zipped up, so we're going to mark that as being transient. Okay, also this is important. Now, so serializable, that's everything that belongs to a class. A static does not belong to a class. Okay, so static objects are skipped by the serializable process. As statics do not belong to any individual object, but to a class. Okay, now we're just going to do a quick example before lunch. So let's have a look at school. Right, so this is just going to be before. Now, by the way, to serialize a class, what is here?
No, it's
Yeah.
lunchtime. Lunchtime.
Oh, okay, I was just going to do one example, Kathy, before I go any
Okay,
further.
fine, that's fine.
Yeah, just right. So I'll just do this. So school. So public class school implements serializable. Okay, that's not correct. Import serializable. Now there's no method of the interface. Okay, it just marks it as being serializable. It also marks it. So the file type we use with serializable is object output stream. All right. So object output stream and file output stream is what serial is this. It's serialized. Sorry. Object output stream is what serializes the file. Object input stream will deserialize the file. Okay, that's what we'll be doing after lunch. Okay, so I will stop that video.